Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. I'm really excited to be joined by my friend Amanda, and she's here to share more in depth around her story in using NFP and the journey that she and her husband have gone on together. And before we jump into the questions and her sharing, Amanda is a Catholic convert who is a wife and stay-at-home mom. She and her husband have been married for 7 years, and they have 3 kids with one on the way in 2023. So, Amanda, I'm so excited to have you on. I'm excited for you
Hi.
to share your heart here with us. Tell us a bit about your story and your NFP journey.
So I started NFP in 2014. We had to do like for marriage prep, we had to do like an NFP course. And at that moment, I just fell in love with it. I'm like, this is so cool. I didn't even know that there was something I didn't need to take a pill or anything like that. It was like fantastic. And I loved it. We used Creighton to start with. And then we had our first kid, and then Creighton kind of just didn't work for us anymore. So we switched to Marquette, which fell in love with that. We had one of our kids with Marquette, the other two were with Creighton, all planned. Our son Noah, though, he was a little bit of we knew it could happen, but we were like not sure if it would happen, kind of a thing. So we were open to the idea. This one, however, was very unexpected and very hard for us to handle. That's why I am sharing my story because I was in shock at like this actually happened to us, and like God's plan and my plan didn't line up, and it was just a shocking adventure. So
Yeah, and this
yeah.
is why I'm really glad you're willing to share, and God's put it on your heart to share this with more women beyond like your friend circles, because I think your story is so powerful and so needed, because I think so often people feel so isolated using NFP. And I
Yeah.
remember experiencing that too. You're just like, what the heck? No one talks about how hard this is. Or when, yes, life is a gift, but you also were not planning on this, or you had, you thought were your serious reasons, and God steps in, and it's like that override. And it's like, okay, what is that big picture? Like, how do I find beauty in the hard parts? You want to just
Yeah.
jump into that a little bit? Because that's something that you had mentioned, like, how to like navigate these hard parts, and you're finding beauty in it. And I remember you just like grappling and saying, like, this is so weird that I'm like, this is so hard. And yet there's some beauty coming out of it. Like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah. So um the beauty, it was a lot to accept at first, because I also have I with a lot of my pregnancies, I have a lot of complications with nausea and sickness. So on top of that, it was just really hard to accept. But finding the beauty in like suffering, and like finding the beauty in like our marriage and how strong it actually is, and just like how my kids are just so how they handled it, and just the little miracles that just were like, it was hard to see at the time, but now they're just like showing their face, and they're um like buddy, like it's crazy how much I can't even like, it makes me emotional how much like it's budding in. And like an example I can really think of is like my husband and mine's communication skills just have gotten so much better. I'm not one to share how I'm feeling very easily, so uh being able to like have my husband check in with me and like, how are you doing today, what are we struggling with, and like having those like sit down conversations around it like really helped come to terms with this pregnancy, and like accept it a lot more. And
Hmm.
then I was one to definitely say you could talk about NFP without religion. I was like so gung-ho about that. And that one thing that the Lord has showed me through this journey is that NFP is not possible without faith. That's like, it is just amazing like how much I like went back to the church, and how much I like looked to her for advice, and like you need your faith in God, and that he knows your plan, and he knows like what's best for you. So that was a really interesting take, because I was very like, you can talk about this without religion, you can just like, you don't need faith behind it, but really like you seriously need faith to accept and something's unexpected and know that there's a plan for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I've really found that really beautiful, and just how it's the perfect example of science and religion working in perfect harmony. And it's so beautiful to me. And I'm like in shock. It took me this long to figure that out. But
I think
yeah.
that's so true though, because I think that was like one of my struggles with managing infertility. I wanted to serve every woman. And then I
Mhm.
quickly realized like I can't really talk about this without God being a part of it, because like when things don't go well or it doesn't make sense, or you have a hard pregnancy, easy pregnancy, but your kids are challenged, whatever, there's so much, it's so like mixed that it's like, how do you make sense if you don't believe that God has a plan for you and that he is a good father and he's looking out for you, even when it can feel like, do you hear me? Do you see how hard this is? Like,
Yeah.
how do I make sense of this suffering? And I think suffering is really hard to make sense without God. It doesn't mean once you have God, like, oh yeah, now suffering's easy, but
Mhm.
like there's just something deeper that you can lean on. Like you said, you went to the church looking in wisdom, like, what do you have to offer? Like, what do you say about this?
Yeah. That was honestly probably one of the hardest things, is like people will, like, I've heard from, since we started looking into NFP, about how like everyone says it's hard, but
Mm-hmm.
you don't really hear like the stories of how it's hard and
Yeah.
how the hard can vary from person to person. Like the only hard I really heard about was infertility, which is a very real thing and needs to be talked about. But like, I found it very frustrating when I was like trying to find someone to relate to, about like, I already have 3 kids. Me and my husband thought we were done. We thought God was on the same page as us. And then to be somewhat blindsided,
Yeah.
um, in that we were expecting a fourth one, because the idea of 4 kids was very overwhelming for all of us. And just having that middle ground of like, because I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, you can just go to the clinic and take care of it, or oh, all babies are a blessing. And I'm like true, but this kind of sucks at the same time, and I'm having a hard time processing it.
Yeah.
Um, and I guess it was really tough. My husband, I feel so bad for him. Was such a trooper. He just hearing me complain about the same things over and over again. I'm like, I'm really having a hard time with this. But I just want to I hope that more people can share their heart with this and know that it's not easy, but at the same time, the church's teaching on all of this is so beautiful, and it's so um like, you're working within God's design, and there is nothing more beautiful and powerful than that. And I just love that. Because when I like, to be honest, like we looked into like other forms of birth control at that time, because I felt like I was like wronged by NFP. I like was so mad. There's a story behind that. Was I ovulated early, and my instructor looked at my charts and was like, oh yes, this looks fine, this looks like you did everything correctly. And I felt confident in it, and to be like, in July, oh surprise,
Yeah.
baby number 4 is coming, was a bit of a shock. So um yeah, it's just an interesting how no one talks about the middle ground, and how like, yes, babies are beautiful. No, I don't accept this other stuff like the birth control and the abortion clinics. I don't want to do that. Like, I want to still do church teaching, but also recognize that this is very hard for me. And
Yeah.
um, I hope other women in my shoes, like I see you. I know, like, this is not, I personally don't enjoy being pregnant. So it's just been a lot to take in.
Yeah. Well, and you get, like you mentioned, you get really sick in your pregnancies.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
you know, and I leave it to you then how much you want to share with that. But I mean, like for someone listening who's like, you don't know sickness, it's like, I mean, you were sick.
Yep. I was diagnosed with hyperemesis this pregnancy, and my whole summer was completely taken out with like IV treatments, emergency room visits. So dealing with like an unexpected pregnancy on top of being like going through the worst nausea, sickness of my life. It feels like it was just a lot to take in, and I'm like so shocked I came out on the other side like excited to have another baby. And like we're really looking forward to being a family of 6 and seeing what journeys that brings us on.
Yeah. Why do you think like the hard parts of NFP aren't talked about? I mean, like we've talked about this and you're clearly showing in your story and just in like the conversations you've had with friends and with people in your life, like what a disservice this is because
Yeah.
it's like what like why can't we share the hard parts? Like what's gonna happen if we do? Like is something bad gonna happen? Like what are we afraid of?
Yeah, I feel like the church side of things, like, oh, babies are a blessing and we should protect all the babies, and which I love, like, don't get me wrong, like we should be protecting our babies and protecting the unborn.
Yeah.
But I think it just does a woman disservice when you don't see a woman's feelings and around like infertility, or if like you're not wanting another baby at that time, like
Yeah.
just seeing those feelings and just recognizing that. I think people are afraid that it would turn people away from it. But as I'm like going through this journey of accepting this, I fully accepted this pregnancy, but as I was processing it, it was just, well, I lost my train of thought.
It's all good.
um
This is a lot, this topic.
yeah, no, it really is. I feel like it just, people are afraid it'll turn people away from it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is an understandable point, but I feel like honestly I was a bit done, like I mentioned earlier, like I felt like I was lied to a little bit, like because it is hard, like that statement is true, but how is it hard, and how does like clergy or like church leaders help you through this process, and how does like family, how does the church like teach this stuff, or like I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like when I was like on YouTube a lot because I was pretty bedridden, just trying to find someone to relate to. And it was really hard. And it made me, I had to stop after I watched one priest who shall remain nameless on YouTube. He made it sound like it was just like the easiest thing. Oh, if you don't want a baby, just don't have sex on your fertile days. I'm like, it's not that easy. Like I
Yeah.
wanted to shake him through the screen. It was so frustrating and so disheartening that I felt like he wasn't equipped to like help someone like in someone like my shoes, like
Yeah.
how to process that. And obviously the other side has its downsides too, like you shouldn't be killing babies in abortion clinics, and I don't like birth control. I don't feel like you should be altering your body in that way, and just being so quick to be like, oh, just go take care of it. I'm like, no, like you are all about the mother, like see my feelings, and just recognize like I want to keep this baby, but also I'm having a really hard time with it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's like that both and where it's like
yeah,
on the one side where, a lot of times the narrative with abortion is it's mother first, child second.
yep,
And then I think in the other extreme, we have when we say babies are a blessing, it's babies first, mother second. And really it is about both, the gift of both, the
yeah,
gift of a woman saying yes and giving up her body as Christ does. Like, this is
yeah,
my body given up for you.
yeah,
And also the child's life and how valuable that is. Like, both matter so much. And really, for a woman to have, I think, a healthy pregnancy and to be taken care of is a huge part of that. And having, like, I think it just incorporates so much science and physiology too for the mom and her connection with baby, her connection with herself, like, and recognizing that like your body is working really hard and you are being pushed to like the endurance levels of like top athletes to do this of
mm-hmm.
growing a child. Like, there's just these pieces that I think we're scared or unwilling to talk about because it's the messy middle.
Yep,
It's like, what could be more integrated than saying we're going to do the both and we're going to really live out theology of the body, that our body's a
yeah,
reflection of God's love, and that like what you're doing is hugely important, and your mental health, your physical health matters in the journey too. Because I think
mm-hmm.
that's how you also can then like by that acceptance and that understanding, then suffering can start to make sense. You can like accept that the aches, the pains, the sufferings,
Yeah,
the traumas, the sickness, because otherwise it's just like you're living in this like shove it all down and don't think too hard about it because you're so lucky that you get to be
Yep.
able to do this. It's like, what? Like, that's not, of course, this, like for you, you're saying, like, of course I know my baby's a gift. Of course I know that this child is like a gift from God. I'm also here too, and I'm a gift from God.
Yep.
So how am I taken care of as well? And I don't think that's selfish. I think we really had language around that being selfish to say that when it's not, because you're not saying the baby doesn't matter. You're saying both matter. Both
Yep.
individual people who are unique and unrepeatable navigating this journey together. Because that's what you're doing. You and
Yeah,
that
for
baby are
sure.
on a journey together.
Yeah. 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 No, I really struggled with the idea of a selfishness a lot too. Just because after I had my son Noah, he's 2 now, like I got to do a lot more things for me and
Mm.
like things I enjoy. Like I got back into running, like I ran my first half marathon and I got to like read books again and like I like to crochet and I like to knit. So I got to like pick that kind of stuff up again and to be have like your life kind of like shaken up a little bit. Was just like I was like, am I selfish for like wanting to do those things?
Yeah.
And is it selfish of me to like be sad about it? It it was I really struggled with that, but in the end, I like it's okay. Like my mental health is important too. My like physical health, like I have hobbies that I can do, and it's okay to have hobbies like that. And I just want I hopefully will have time to get back into those things. It's just I kind of have to put them on hold for a little bit, which is fine. I'm more than willing to sacrifice that for my kids. I love being a mom. It's one of the most rewarding things I've done in my life. But it was just hard grieving that. And I already grieved like so funny story. So my husband and I last January took a trip to Florida for a week to kind of just celebrate like the next stage in life, like being done with kids and like where life's going to take us and like kind of grieving that a little bit and to like have to grieve the grieving it was a bit weird. It was a bit weird. So yeah, we found out in June that we were expecting our 4th baby. So it was kind of a shock just being so like we just got back. It seemed like
Yeah.
and then surprise.
Here you
Just kind of
go. Yeah. And I think what's so interesting related to this too, as you're talking about this, like I think the curiosity stems up in a lot of people with NFP. And I'm not saying like what were your serious reasons, not at all. I think there's this like tendency in the NFP world too that we determine like who gets the hard story of NFP or not, depending on like their circumstances and their story and their serious reasons. We like, I think we tend to have this judgment on people of like, oh, you can sit in church and go like, oh, they only have one kid. Well, oh, what are they doing? Well, I know they travel a lot, or I know that they don't travel. Like we tend to just want to like pass judgment on people's stories and determine they're hard for them. Like, oh, well, that's not hard. You should have more kids. Or like, you need to stop having kids. Like your life is really hard right now. And it's like, this is like where the church in that sense of like your discernment and like here are the reasons for to abstain or not abstain, like the church is pretty limited in like all the reasons because it's like your heart is going to be your own unique heart. It's your
For
cross.
sure.
And like your cross may not be my cross. And it, like for something that I think is really hard, you're like, girl, that's a walk in the park. You're gonna be
Yeah.
fine. And what I hear, I'm like, oh my gosh, Amanda, that is so hard. Like, what are you doing? Like, you like should not have more children or whatever. And you're like, it's actually like I'm managing great, And so I think like that there's that dynamic at play too that I wonder how much that feeds into us not talking about the gray spaces because we are not great at receiving people's stories and being curious in a healthy way, in a good way to say, I receive you and I'm receiving your story. And I'm just going to be here and be with you and not immediately jump to like, let me fix you and let me pull out all the dogmas and doctrines to make sure that you're in alignment because I don't understand your cross. It's like, my job isn't to understand your cross. My job is to be your Simon. Like my job is to help you carry the cross and figure out my role.
Yep. Yeah. I was just talking to another friend of mine and like just hearing their heart. And I'm like, oh, I've never experienced that before. Just like being on different pages with discerning whether or not to have another one. Like that could be a hard for a couple. And
Yeah.
I think that should be equally as talked about and like how to process that. Like what kind of tools can we give that couple to get on the same page, or like come into agreement. Like that's a hard, that a lot of people that don't talk about. And
Yeah.
I know, like there's so much around the hard that no one it's just not, I like, honestly, I feel like it's not talked about, and it's not talked about enough. Was so I was so fortunate that I had a mutual friend at my kid's school who introduced me to another woman who was kind of in the same boat as me, expecting another baby, was kind of not jiving with her plans. So it was nice to be able to like commiserate together and be like, yeah, this isn't for us, but being like, I love church teaching now, I still want to do NFP, but also recognizing all the feelings around it, and like how coming to terms with it, and how like it affected our family life and how it affected her. Like it was just nice to see another relation. I was very fortunate to have someone to talk to like that. I know not everyone does.
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah. And you guys were
hopefully
willing to
open.
like open up. I mean, like that you were willing to open up. And even the fact that you're here and willing to open up here, because I think a lot of people get cold feet or think like, well, I got through it.
Yeah.
It wasn't that bad. You know, we can tend to just kind of say like, it's fine. It's fine. I got through it, whatever. When it's like, you know, your story can be a huge gift to someone else in
Yeah.
like processing their
Yeah.
feelings and emotions, and like their like we do have to do that. I think sometimes we get a little like, oh, we're being too feelings happy. It's like, no, that like God gave us our desires and our feelings, and it's okay to process them. It doesn't mean we're going to necessarily act on our feelings, and like our behavior is going to translate to exactly what we feel like, any more than if I feel angry,
Yeah.
I'm going to go, you know, hit someone. It's like, well, I might feel angry at you, but I'm going to
Yeah.
restrain from hitting you. Like, you know, it's that same thing. It's like we have to make space to allow, I think, you know, allow God to come in to like provide that healing for us. Or if we need like more professional support too, or and spiritual
Yeah.
direction, whatever it is, to like actually walk with us. I think
Yeah.
too, like we have the expectation, I think sometimes in talking about the hard, not, I mean, you're not saying this, but I think we think like the church needs to talk about it. Like, and we are the church. And like for you, you're
Yeah.
saying, like people need to come forward and not to compare and to create this list of here are the reasons of what hard is and why you could avoid or achieve pregnancy. It's like, no,
Mhm.
just to like have community with each other and know like, hey, this person is going through something hard and you're going through something hard. It's okay to own your hard. And
Mhm.
you don't have to relate perfectly to
Nope.
the other person, but it's the idea that like we're facing hard things, and like it, you know, it's better to be connected to each other, and that helps, I think, lower those anxiety levels and help us to
Yep.
like be together in it and not feel like, oh, I need to start questioning all of my hard choices and all of these things, and maybe I need to have another
Yeah.
child. It's like, no, like take a breath. Like this is just about being with each other and just
Mhm.
being, not responding, not changing your plans, but just like being and allowing God into those spaces with each other.
Yeah, because it's really powerful how like having community and having um like a strong marriage and having like friends to be able to talk to about this kind of stuff. Like it's amazing what the Holy Spirit can do, and just like bringing people together and like accepting things that are hard. And because one of the things that we were hoping for a girl, and I was so ready to be so upset about it being a boy. But the baby is a boy, and I was surprisingly like really calm about it. And I think having um my acquaintance that I met, she also has a lot of boys and was hoping for a girl, and just having that sense of like, oh, we can relate to each other, that we both want a girl, and then we both ended up with boys, that was okay, and we were both like really calm about it, and just it was just so much easier to accept at that point, and just like saying it out loud, like it's gonna be hard having another boy. And it's already have two of them. But but really it was like we're so excited, and it's just amazing what the Lord has done for us, and just accepting things that I thought would be hard that aren't hard.
Yeah, I think that's like the funny thing too, when we're really in our own heads with like, or not sharing that, like we can't really gauge like, okay, I thought this is going to be hard, but it's not. This is hard and it's not. Like, not that we can prepare for everything,
Yep.
prepare for all of our hards, but like there is that level, like you said, of just like saying it out loud and sharing it with someone. And then it helps you realize like, oh yeah, I thought that was going to be hard. And it is, or like, oh, I thought that was going to be way harder. And I'm doing okay. And like God's grace is here.
Yeah.
And also like he's giving me these people like that I have the choice to like open up to
Yep.
and share with them. And there's an element too of like, yeah, you have to feel like you can connect with these people, and like, because it
Mhm.
can be more heartbreaking to open up to someone and they don't receive your story, and then you're like,
Yeah.
oh, because then it's just like the devil's lies of like you're alone, or just like lived out in the flesh, and you're like, oh, I knew it, I'm alone. And it's like, no, that just wasn't the person for you. But like there are people who will receive you and receive your
Yep.
story, and like they do exist. Because I think there's just such hopelessness that otherwise you can feel so alone.
Yep. Yeah, that was my biggest thing when I first found, like, I probably cried for like a week straight. Um, just finding out I was pregnant. I thought physically, mentally, emotionally, I could not handle it. But um, like when I said, once I got through the whole dramatic crying my eyes out phase and talking to Tim a lot more, I really just looked to the Holy Family a lot.
Mm,
And it's just beautiful, because like when Mary said yes to that angel, and I'm like, that's what I'm doing. And she did not know like
yeah.
what her life was gonna bring and what joys baby Jesus was gonna do for her. Like, she had not the slightest clue. Like, and I just like wanted to put myself in her shoes, and like people should just, I just I love Mary a lot. So I'm like, people should just look to the Holy Family for a lot of this stuff. When it comes
Yeah.
to NFP, I feel like they're a great example of why we should practice it. Just saying yes to God's plan, saying yes to God's design, and that's the most beautiful thing to me.
Yeah.
But
You're doing a really beautiful job of being very practical, and then like the spiritual aspect. Like I love it.
yeah,
Your integration of just like, yeah, like you're living out and you realize like, okay, the science and the theology, like, yes, it's good to like know your body and share your feelings and talk about these things. And God can be a part of these places too, and the Holy Family as like a
yeah,
witness to it, which I think is really beautiful, because I think like it is that both, and it's just like, okay, to make sense of this and have the bigger picture, and
mhm,
to be more integrated, like body soul, it's like, okay, I've got to acknowledge both. I can't just live in one reality or the other and ignore my soul or ignore my body and the physical ailments, like, because otherwise you're just going to feel, I think, like you're walking around like half fulfilled, half understanding of like what's going on with me right now, like I'm feeling like a wreck.
it's really funny too, because like acknowledging both, like I feel like if you don't acknowledge both, it's super easy to like walk away from it. Because I know I went through like a phase during my journey in the last 6 months of like, I could just like end this all, and I could end my suffering. I could end like feeling sick. I could end this like feeling of what am I gonna do with 4 kids, like so easily. I'm like, I could just go to the clinic and it'd be so easy. But if I didn't acknowledge the faith side of things, and like the church's teaching on like marriage and family life, like it would just like leave you guilty and feeling worse than just
Mm.
getting through it and processing it. I felt like because like one of the things about like NFP that I love is that part of it, like I'm giving my whole self to my husband, like
Yeah.
including my fertility. And if I were to like go on birth control, like I'm withholding something from him, and I'm like keeping that for myself. And that is probably one of the most selfish things someone could do, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
So I just love that the church teaches that like you shouldn't use birth control, hormonal birth control. You should work within God's design, and he has a plan for you, and it's going to be amazing. Whatever it is, he has a reason for it, obviously.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I just keep thinking like, as you're talking, there's a lot of like Advent themes coming in.
yeah.
It's just like your yes to like yes that Mary gives, and like your yes, and not knowing like, okay, I don't know how this is going to go, or like what the suffering is going to be. Because it's so easy to look back on a story and go like, yeah, but she got through it. It wasn't that hard. It's like, she didn't know that. Like maybe
Yeah.
like the angels or God gave her certain graces to know, like to know things. But otherwise, I think he just gave her the graces for the present moment. And maybe we need like a Marian theology here, but like, get some 101 on that. But like that's what we live out, and just like, okay, I'm going to say yes. And she was still human. She still had human
Yep.
emotion. I'm sure she had these grappling experiences in her emotions and feelings, but like she's without sin. So she chose, like her choices and how she acted, of course, were
Yep.
free of sin. But I think that humanness was there, just like Jesus coming, like he
Mhm.
was fully man. He wasn't part man. I mean, he's part man,
Yeah.
part God, yes, but like he had a fully human experience. He
Mhm.
cried when Lazarus died. Like he experienced the suffering. He sweat blood. He like
Mhm.
asked God, like, take this away from me, but if not, okay, I'm gonna do this. Like
Yeah.
die on the cross for humanity. Like this wasn't like him just kind of living above the rest of us, or never experiencing pain. So I think
Yeah.
like there's so much to be said in looking to our faith, and how much we can see that reality lived out, and we can trust like Jesus actually knows, like he is in
Yeah.
this with us.
Yep. Yeah. And just laying it before the cross, and like he knows best. And obviously he got me and my husband through this journey. I feel like he can do anything, like honestly.
That's so beautiful. Like that's so
Yeah.
beautiful just to hear you say that. And like, when we were on a run and you were just talking about it, and I was like, um wow, like here, like just seeing your journey from my perspective was incredible. Like I like straight up started to cry about it, thinking about it, because I was like, your witness was so powerful. Like we're sitting eating apps at a restaurant, like, and it was just like seeing this journey where like you had been so sick, like you were bedridden, like you were going to the ER. It was like, okay, let's like, we're doing our family rosaries for Amanda here, and like praying for her to get better, and like you're updating me. And then you hit that turning point, and you were just like, this is a blessing, baby. This has been so hard. And we're chowing down on apps, and you're like, I'm eating again. I'm celebrating. Like, this is so awesome. And I was just like, oh my gosh. Like, I am seeing like God's plan being lived out, and how like suffering can be used. And like, this is me as a third party person. And I'm just like, what in the heck? This is wild. And like how your witness and your yes, and like Mary's yes, like impacted me, like impacted David, and us being like, whoa, like, are we saying yes to God? Are we saying yes in our fertility? And I think that's the power of
Yeah.
you sharing your story, that like your witness can impact other stories too. And I don't think we always realize that when we're in our suffering,
Mhm.
we're in our suffering because it's freaking hard.
Yep.
Like our
Yeah.
our witness, even though we're not doing it perfectly, and we're not planning to do it perfectly because we're going to write a bestseller or something, it's like that's still a witness.
Yep. For sure. And I know that some people will probably get upset with me. I know I had some friends get upset with me that I even like like it even like came into my mind like ending it all. Like I had some
Yeah.
friends that were a little upset with me about that, but um I feel like it was okay for me to say that out loud, and it's okay for me to process those emotions. Like you said, like Jesus had very real human emotions, and we should be called to holiness and we should strive for it, but also at the same time, like I can acknowledge my feelings too, and acknowledge the hard and the emotional side of things, and it's okay to do
Yes.
that because
Yes.
we're human.
Yes.
Like,
Totally. And
yeah.
like, just like as we're talking about this too, like what, I mean, we've mentioned it throughout the conversation. Like, what do you hope to see change in the Catholic Church, like from lay people and from like the church as a whole?
The church as a whole, for sure, I wish that more um church leaders knew more about this and knew how to support people in this situation, because I felt like when I tried to like seek advice about all of it, like how to process it, like I felt like I was really brushed off, because I feel like it wasn't really a thing that was talked about, and it was more of like a shameful thing to be like, oh, you should be happy that you're having a baby. I feel like clergy should be more equipped to talk about these things.
Yeah.
I also do feel that NFP in the Catholic Church is not taught enough, and
Yeah.
it's not pushed enough. I feel like the church should be teaching this more, and teaching like how it's like the perfect combination of, like I said before, of religion and science. Like, it is the perfect marriage. And why aren't we talking about this? Because I feel like that's a huge like culture thing right now. Like, oh, church stuff is so anti-science, when really, like, if you're practicing NFP, like, you are living both worlds. It's
Yes.
just, you can't deny it.
Yes, totally.
Yeah. And lay people, I feel like, just need community, like find community and just listen to the mother. Like, don't, like, I see good intentions in like people who are like, oh, it's a blessing, it's a baby, and yay. But also, like, if you know that, like, I know a lot of my friends where they knew Tim and I thought we were done. Just knowing that, like, this could be a hard thing to accept when, and just being there for that person and being open to talk about the hard feelings, even though you might not like hearing some of it. Just know, like, just be that person to listen and hopefully give advice and bring their faith stronger.
Yeah, totally. Because like your witness and just being with them could be the thing that helps them know, like, hey, I'm not going to go against church teaching. I'm not actually going to have an abortion or sterilize or any of those things, but I just need to talk to you about it. That like these are on the table for me because I'm freaking out. And to
Yeah.
just receive someone who may be anywhere in that spectrum, who knows, like where they might be, that like giving them that space to be able to share can be the game changer for them to
Yep.
know, like, hey, okay, I just had to get that out. Because sometimes when you get it out, you're just like, oh, I have a little more clarity right now. Well, wait a minute.
Yep.
I don't think I really want to do that yet. But you gotta process it.
Yeah, for sure. You can't just shove that. You can't just shove it down.
It'll
Whatever.
come out and like it'll come out in weird ways. Like it happens.
Yeah.
Like we see this. Like there's so many like good resources too, as we're saying this, that I'm thinking about too. Like if you're just like, I really need support, it's like I definitely want to link some resources for mental health support to
For sure.
people who are out there, because I think like everybody's on a different journey. Some people may not need it, some people may really need it, and that's okay. Like getting
Mhm.
help is totally healthy and totally
Yep.
okay to do when you're struggling, because
Sure.
like God works through those people to heal. I think sometimes when we think of Jesus healing, we're like, oh, well, he won't use anyone to like heal us. It'll just be him directly. And it's like, yes, he absolutely can do that. He's God. Like, let's not limit
Mhm.
him. He also will send people to us to heal through them, to help us on a journey
Yep.
that like we never know what that could look like. And that can be through friends too. Like he may be
Yep.
sending you, for someone listening that's like, I have a friend going through this, like if something's stirring in your heart, bring it to God and say, like, if you're asking me to be my friend Simon, like let me help them carry their cross in whatever capacity they might be. And it's not taking over their cross, but it's like helping
Yep.
them navigating that,
And
because it is their cross to carry. God has a plan for that
yeah,
person,
no,
that cross.
a recent example I can think of is I shared that we were having a hard time, and I carried like a medicine pump with me. And one of a mom I met at a mom's group saw that and told the school, and the school said, send us this information and we will try to get some tuition knocked off, because our kids go to a Catholic school. And they gave us more money just because of the situation we were in. They gave us more help, financial help, because the medicine I was on was very expensive and the treatment plan was very expensive for my hyperemesis. So I'm like, just a weird, like, I barely know this woman. She just went into it, just like did that. I'm like, it was just amazing that little tiny act of kindness was just, it like changed. Like, it wasn't as significant about the idea that she went and like did that for
Yeah.
us. Amazing.
Yeah, it's huge. Just like leaning in and saying yes to like where the Holy Spirit calls. It might be uncomfortable. It might not
Yeah.
feel perfect. It might be like, this feels a little weird, but it's like, why not show up?
Yeah. And you never know where these miracles are going to come from either. Like, that was
Yeah.
so unexpected for me.
Yeah. Okay. So as we're wrapping up today, like what, as you've said and shared so many beautiful things here, and I know people are going to be listening to this and thinking like, yes, someone is saying it. This is so good. And just the beauty of sharing your story. What's like your one takeaway, someone listening to this conversation? What's that one thing that's on your heart that you're just like, I really want to reiterate this for someone listening right now?
Just know I see you in your hard, whatever it may be, from infertility to struggling with unexpected pregnancy to you're arguing with your husband about whether or not to have more kids or not. Like, I see you, and I know it's hard, and just look to the church, look to the Holy Spirit, look to Jesus Christ. He will help you through it. Really, that's really it's really the biggest takeaway I can, like, your faith life is so important when it comes to NFP, and don't neglect it, because I know it's so easy to do. Yeah, it's probably my biggest takeaway.
That's awesome. Amanda, thank you so much for coming on. You're awesome. You're an awesome friend. I'm excited to get back to running with you postpartum here, post Minnesota winters.
Yeah.
And I'm just great. I'm so grateful, I am so grateful that you are willing to share your story here to bless other women who are struggling to know how to support a friend who is struggling, and your witness is powerful and it matters. Thank you.
For sure.